mostly the bugs, just waiting around.
One of the most critical parts of a horse's career is learning how to break from the starting gate. It's quite the process, and we're very happy to be joined by Bob Duncan, probably the preeminent gate schooler in the country. Bob, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
How long have you been schooling horses at the gate?
Well, I started on the gate in 1967, so it's been quite a while. I spent a couple of years doing it part-time. 1970, I went on full-time, and it's been a career.
And at one point, you were the starter in the NYRA race.
Started for 10 years from 93 to just before 2004.
So you've kind of retired here to Saratoga somewhat.
Yeah, see the sweat? Yeah, I have retired up here, but this is the part of the job I like the most, Jeff. It's the schooling of the horses. So this is retirement for me.
Can you explain to us the process? I mean, horses aren't born knowing how to break from the gate, so take us through the process.
That's true. There's actually two phases to it. The first phase being getting the horse used to the machine itself, just his comfort with it and walking into it, getting him used to the things that might happen on race day, like being climbed around or having a horse next to him in the gate. And once you get him accustomed to the gate, then the next phase is to teach him how to break from the gate, and that's done through a progression of steps where with each visit you give the horse a little more experience. You might do more climbing around. You might put the horses next to him. You might ask him to walk out one day and jog out the next. And with each visit, increase the speed with which he reacts to the front doors, with the ultimate goal being that horse realizing when the doors crack, he's supposed to leave there as fast as he can. Contrary to popular belief, which is, oh, we need a bell, we need a whip, we need to scare him, the common philosophy and the knowledge of the day is that you need a calm, confident horse in the gate, and that's what we work toward.
Now, some horses pick it up very quickly. Some horses, like we saw here, balk. They have a tough time with it. How long does it take when you're working with those horses?
You know, it's not like working on a car, Jeff. You know, you can't go in there and change the plugs and know it's going to fire. There are different mitigating factors every day when they come out here. Now, this morning it's been a very busy morning. It happens to be the first morning where I don't have 6 people because we had to send the gate over to the main track. So these horses having to wait out there with the bugs made it more difficult for some of them to deal with the issues today. In an ideal world, you could take a horse that's never seen a gate and probably get them ready for the races in 10 or 12 visits. Teaching the horses about the gate is one phase of it. There's something that occurs as you're teaching them, though. They begin to get excited, sometimes so excited from maybe it's a bit of stress. Maybe these are horses that have already raced and they're having issues with the gate. They may not want to walk in willingly. They may not want to stand quietly. They may not track straight coming out the front. So another aspect of our job here is to work with these older horses or these horses that have some experience but are dealing with some stress issues, and we try to help them regain their confidence in the gate. You know, one of the wonderful things that we've learned over the last 10 or 15 years is that we got away from the old technique of being forceful and using a buggy whip and using pain and threat and fear to get them in the gate. About 10 or 15 years ago, I started to make contact with some horsemen outside of racing, guys like Monty Roberts and Pat Pirelli and Ray Hunt, who was the godfather of it all, modern day. They call it horse whispering, but it's just natural horsemanship. And we began to apply those techniques here, and what you saw this morning in some instances was the beginnings of teaching horses about the gate by using those techniques, which involve working from the horse's perspective, understanding how horses work with each other in a herd environment, and using that skill to gain leadership with the horse by creating movement. You might have seen some horses wouldn't walk up to the gate. Even before I would approach the gate, I would ask with a degree of pressure for them to step toward me, and then I would ask with a degree of pressure for them to step back. When they did the correct move, my hand would open up and they would get the relief from the discomfort of the pressure. And soon, if you might have noticed, some of the horses just start watching and sort of rocking with you in almost a dance. And what it does is it creates a relationship with you and the horse where the horse suddenly gets confidence. I mean, in a herd, most horses want to be led. There's really only 1 or 2 leaders in the herd. They're used to being led, and a good leader breeds confidence in the horse. So that's what we try to establish here, and that's the key to us getting them in a gate, which is a pretty alien environment for a horse.
So utilizing your body language is very important.
Exactly. I call it speaking, but it's body language, and it's about energy in and energy out. It's about a veiled threat. If you'll watch horses in a herd, there are times where the dominant horse will say, you know, I want to eat there, you're standing there, you'd better move, and he'll do something simple like pin his ears or snake his neck or slap a foot. And if the horse doesn't respond, he might charge the horse. And it rarely ever comes to the point where the dominant horse has to hurt the other horse. It's not, nature says it's not healthy for you to have a damaged member of the herd. So it's all done with threats and escalation of the potential of a threat. And so we use that as well here. We'll start with a subtle command, and every time we ask a horse to do something, we always go through a series of commands from light to a more escalated command, hopefully working down toward the light command, to the point where that little dance begins, where the horse says, "Oh, you want me to back up?" I'll come. You know, they kind of rock with you, and it's kind of fun, because you're a horseman. You know when that change occurs, when that horse goes from being fearful to where he's looking at you for comfort and safety, and where you know he wouldn't hurt you for the world, and he's going to try to do what you're asking, and that is an epiphany moment. It's just a wonderful thing when that occurs. It's funny, the better we got at this, the less we use equipment. You might have noticed we didn't use a blindfold. We don't even own a buggy whip. We do less of the backing into the starting gate, the little gimmicky tricks. We try to teach them. But one of the things we did find helpful over the years is that when we built our schooling gates, when I became the starter, I happened to find this out in Japan, by the way. They had a schooling gate with a very wide stall in it and no doors on it. And then they had gradually smaller stalls until the inside stall was a race-size stall. So I thought that was a great idea. So we actually built or converted a few gates here to have a wide stall on them. It's a great introduction for a horse that's either become reluctant to walk in or a horse that's never been in. So it's kind of relates to a term I like to use, and that's feed them with a spoon and not a shovel. You try to give them a small lesson and an easy lesson for them to learn, and you don't advance to the next lesson until they've digested that. So that wide stall is an easy lesson for them, and it helps us to then progress them into the regular stall.
Because in a regular stall, there's not a lot of room. When you take in the fact there's a rider, there's an assistant starter.
Yeah, 26 inches wide at the pontoons and 96 inches long. The horse is literally nose to tail, and you know from having a lot of damaged toes that if you lean sideways, you're going to get hurt, and you've got one of us big fellas next to you, and we're pretty much in each other's way when the proverbial poop hits the fan. So
yeah, and you know, as a former rider, I always knew it was such a wonderful feeling to know that you guys there that had our backs, because can be one of the most dangerous parts of the race, correct?
It can be, and then one thing about this new stuff we're learning, Jeff, is we've been able to avoid a lot of the explosions. We now can put horses in that gate with a degree of confidence that if something else occurs in the gate, he's going to look to you for comfort, and it's happened time and again. It's a proven idea. Riders do have to get trained. Riders come to us for okay. We have, as you know, you've been through the process. So we teach horses to go on the gate, and then we teach riders to ride out of the gate. There's most racetracks have an approval program where a card is given for a rider just as well as a horse.
Well, thank you, Bob, for joining us and letting us know what it takes to get a horse to start here in Saratoga.
My pleasure. Thank you.